So you just came out with a new report, and you were looking at this issue of critical race theory. You co-authored this report, and you said that it's the new intolerance and its grip is on America, and it's making race the prism through which its proponents analyze all aspects of American life. Talk us through, from your perspective, what exactly is critical race theory?
Well, critical race theory is a child of a critical legal theory, which is also a child of critical theory. All three of them amount to an unremitting, ceaseless attack on all the norms of America and the West in order to tear them down and introduce a rival option, one that's more sympathetic to central planning. They're Marxist in origin. Critical theory was devised by the Frankfurt School, which was one of the first neo-Marxist or Western Marxist schools in Europe. In the case of critical race theory, it sees everything through the lens, the prism of race. This year, famously, it jumped the ivy covered walls. It hit America's streets with force. All the riots that we've seen, all the protests, are the result of people being taught this in the university for decades.
And when you say it jumped the ivory walls or the ivory tower walls, this has been going on for so long on college campuses. And I just find it interesting. The Wall Street Journal recently posted an op-ed earlier this year looking at this question of free discourse and questioning whether by allowing for free discourse on college campuses that people who are truly believing in freedom actually became victims of their own success, because people who are now espousing these ideas, they don't allow for tolerance and they don't allow for debating or challenging these ideas, because they say that these ideas, that words that you or I might say are violence. Do you think that there's truth to this, to say that we allowed too much freedom of speech and thereby, basically open the door for people who don't believe in free speech?
Well, I mean, this is classic. This is critical race theory 101. The primer on critical race theory, written by Richard Delgado and his wife Jean Stefancic, actually says that freedom of speech is in a danger, that it's a danger to the good life, and all of them, Ibrahim Kendi, all of them say it doesn't even have to do with matters of hate speech, which is a code word for blocking free speach, but they say free speech is weaponized. You hear this now all the time. I just heard a journalist being interviewed on MSNBC saying the same thing. Free speech is being weaponized. Justice Kagan said that in a decision just a few years ago, and it starts out with critical race theory. Actually, it starts out with Marcuse, who was a critical theorist, who wrote a whole essay on this in the 1960s called Repressive Tolerance, in which he said conservative ideas need to be repressed.
And when I hear that people are saying that it's been weaponized, I mean, I'm just thinking here in D.C., in anticipation of a possible Trump victory, all of the stores were boarded up, and there was anticipation that there could be rioting, looting, and burning in the streets of Washington if Trump won. Is that, from their perspective, from critical race theory perspective, is that type of language not weaponization? How do they justify that as not being weaponized?
They don't need to justify anything because they're biased and they're open about it. They say that their ideas, because to give them their due, they say their ideas help the marginalized, help those who have been oppressed by the oppressor class, and that we need to curtail speech and a lot of other rights, by the way, not just speech, property rights, freedom of conscience, all these things, all the basic natural rights on which the United States is based have to be curtailed in order to arrive at the radical egalitarianism that critical race theory and critical theory preach. This is Marxist. This always ends very badly. It's ended in tears everywhere in the world. Wherever it has been tried in Asia, Europe, Latin America, Africa, or if it's ever tried here, it would also end in tears. This is one of the reasons why we need to sound the trumpet and act against it.
And so when you say, Mike, that they believe that they're acting in the interest of the poor, the oppressed, and the marginalized, I know Heritage Foundation has lots of projects where you say that you are doing the same thing, that your conservative ideas are actually caring for the poor and lifting them out of poverty, helping them get jobs, helping them be independent, helping them have a strong family. So why is it that we see the use of violence and rioting and looting somehow, perceived within the media to be more judicious or more benevolent for minorities?
Remember that Nicole Hannah-Jones of the New York Times 1619 Project said that looting and vandalism was not violence because it was against property, not people. Look, their ideas do not help the poor, do not help anybody, impoverish everybody. First of all, they don't look at the underlying causes of poverty. They don't look at the family unit, how intact it is or how broken it is. They don't look at any of the habits of hard work that lead to success for all of us, right? Success and failure are colorblind. And what they do, these ham-fisted approaches that seek to reach equal outcomes by blunt force, never help anybody have any success in life. The record is clear. Has been the opposite everywhere.
So, Mike, from your report, what's the biggest takeaway or even the biggest action that you want a reader to get?
Understand that this is not a something from the grassroots. People are not demanding respect and attention and compensatory justice. This is ideologues and activists at the grass tops who have imposed this on everybody. I'm very clear about this in my book, The Plot to Change America. I devote several chapters to explaining how these theories hijack one of our best impulses, which is the impulse to be compassionate towards the truly marginalized. We should be compassionate, but Marxism doesn't fix any of that. It just makes everything worse.